Well, you know, Rev, when you're having the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times write the same day on a growing threat of violence in the political system fueled by Donald Trump, you know there's something serious going on.
No, this is very serious. And let me use this example, because you and I have had these conversations candidly, privately, but I want to use it publicly. I remember back in the 80s, we would use language that would, in many ways, could be interpreted by fanatics whichever way they wanted. And it was Mrs. Coretta Scott King, Dr. King's widow, that said to me, Al, if you're going to be part of the nonviolent movement, you've got to stop saying things that could even be misinterpreted. And she was right. I mean, she reprimanded me. I used to use slang words, the N-word, calling whites names or whatever. She said, you can't do that. This is 25 years ago. And when a few years later, when a guy stabbed me, I forgave him in the spirit of Dr. King and said that publicly. As late as George Floyd, we had to unequivocally say, yes, we want justice. Yes, we think the police are guilty, but we do not condone and, in fact, denounce the violence. You can't walk on both sides of the street at the same time. And Donald Trump knows, if he didn't know before, and I know he did, but if he didn't after January 6th, to even go to the edge is either intentional or insensitive. And to use racist language against Mitch McConnell's wife, he knows what he's doing. At some point in your life, you have to make a choice on who you are and what you stand for. I made my choice. I wish the members of the Senate, like Scott and others, would make their choice. You can't stand in the middle of the street without getting hit by traffic on both sides, i.e. Wall Street Journal and New York Times editorial page.
Yeah, I mean, you did make your choice after talking to Coretta Scott King, and it's moving hearing you and others talk about that choice. And I see every time, after George Floyd, after other tragedies that happen, the first thing you say is we cannot have violence. We cannot have violence. We can protest, but there's no room for violence. Christina Greer, it's interesting. Donald Trump goes after the Republican leader of the United States Senate at a time Republicans desperately want to take control of the Senate. You talk about a political death wish. It seems that he did this in Georgia. He's now doing it when Republicans need his support more than ever. It really does seem like he doesn't want any Republican to succeed except for himself. And he's probably really angry at Mitch McConnell for agreeing to reform the Electoral Count Act that will stop January 6th from happening again.
Absolutely, Joe. We know that Donald Trump works for a party of one. He does not care about the Republican Party. He has no value system, as we've seen time and time again. And so there are a few things operating at the same time. One, the fact that the Republican Party, at the congressional level, at the local level, has not come out and unequivocally said that Donald Trump is wrong, that his comments were racist, inappropriate, dangerous, and inciting violence. The fact that we've been met with such silence from so many Republican leaders speaks a lot about the party, where they're going, who they're willing to sort of walk off a cliff with, in the words of Donald Trump. I think what's also really important is that this is a former president who does not care about this republic. We have to be honest now. I mean, the fact that Donald Trump will only support people who go along with his mission to, prop up Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and people who really sort of represent the most base factions of our country. But the fact that he's going to go on stage, literally on a national tour, denigrating not just Democrats, but people in his own party. He does not really care if the Republicans succeed. He wants to succeed. And I think what we're seeing as this train gets closer and closer to the station is that the type of violence that Donald Trump is trying to incite, he is bellicose, but he's also a little bloodthirsty. You can't put in full caps about Mitch McConnell that he has a death wish. We know that he's essentially calling his supporters to behave as though they did on January 6th or worse. And so I think it's really incumbent upon the entire Republican Party to denounce this man. I know November 2022 is coming up, I know they want to win seats in gubernatorial races and Senate races all across the country. But there has to be some sort of moral line that the Republicans won't cross. And sadly, we're being met with silence.
Because there really is a through line here. If you look at what Donald Trump said in the past, you look at the fact that his approval numbers are going down. It's becoming obvious to him he cannot win. He knows. He knew he could win in 2016 when everybody else didn't think he could win. And he now knows he can't. He understands, and I've talked to people around him, he can't get back those suburban voters in Atlanta. He can't get back the suburban voters in the Philly suburbs. He understands he can't win. So what is he doing now? His rhetoric's becoming more violent. He's embracing QAnon, conspiracy theories. He's actually boiling down his supporters, not doing what any politician who would want to win would be doing. He's boiling down support to find people that will support him for an overthrow of the federal government. That's my belief. And oh, wait, that's what he tried to do on January the 6th, just a couple of years ago. Yeah. So look and see what he's doing and ask yourself, why would he come out and try to get the Republican leader of the U.S. Senate killed? Why would he talk about a death wish in all caps? Why would he make a racist slur against a former member of his cabinet who happens to be Mitch McConnell's wife? Why would he embrace QAnon conspiracy theories? Why would he keep, again, getting more and more radical when he knows that will only drive down his support? The clear answer, as he supports all these election deniers, Mika, is he wants to succeed in 2024 in the way he failed in 2020, and he's obviously ready to use violence to do that.